Hey guys, Kevin Ainsworth for Girl Meets World Season 2, Episode 21, Girl Meets Texas Part 2, and I was really looking forward to this episode. I mean, the cliffhanger on Part 1 was fantastic, and I knew this episode would be great, and this episode was amazing. I really loved it. By far one of the best episodes of the season. It's still not Girl Meets Hurricane. That's still the best episode, I think, of this whole show. But I still thought this was an amazing episode. I absolutely loved it. There were so many great things about it, and it was so rewarding. And part three is going to be incredible. Which, guys, I will be reviewing part three. The second that the second that the episode is over, because it's already on Watch Disney Channel. So I'm gonna schedule it. And I'm going to review it actually probably later. Um, and then you guys will see it up tonight because I don't want to spoil anything about it for you guys, but this episode I thought was fantastic. There's a lot to talk about, and let's get into it. So I really like the beginning of this episode because it's basically Lucas. He's thinking about Riley, saying she sees him as brother and sister, and he's asking what it means. And Zay talks about how he remembers this memory he had with Vanessa when he told her he'd buy her a house and ice cream, and she doesn't want the house, she doesn't want his ice cream, and she doesn't like him, which I thought was pretty funny. And he asks how he's supposed to understand that, and Farkle says that he does, which I thought was funny. Farkle was great in this episode. You know, he felt a bit out of place in part one, but here he was great. I really love Farkle in this episode. Um, so Riley and Maya walk outside where Lucas, Zay, Farkle, and Joe are, and Joe, who I actually really loved in this episode. I was starting, first episode I wasn't really into Pappy Joe, but this episode I thought he was really good. He kind of replaced Corey, which I thought was nice. I like seeing Joe in this episode. He tells them how lucky they are and how they need to treat them right, and Riley thanks him, and Riley says that she sees how Lucas gets homesick in New York because of the stars in the sky that she never even knew existed, and she tells him she doesn't get nervous around him anymore, and she says they're doing the right thing, and she talks about why they couldn't say hi to each other, and when he says hi to her, she acts very overly friendly. She's like, "Yo, Lucas, hi, bro, what's up?" I thought that was so funny. Just seeing Riley trying to be as casual as possible with Lucas, I thought was hilarious. And it is a change, but it's just showing that Riley's growing up. She's starting to understand more of what's going on with Lucas. And I know people are not exactly into this, but again, she's growing up. And when you grow up, you change as a person. And I can agree to that. So he says he doesn't even know what's going on right now. She says they're going to be the best of friends and care for each other for the rest of their lives. And he says he thought they had that and doesn't understand what brother and sister means. And she punches him, acts like a sister, and he responds like a brother would. And she says they're exactly how him and Maya were, and she does the horse noise that Maya always does. And Maya tells her that's not how you do it. And Riley says she thought she wasn't talking to Lucas, and she says she's not talking to her. She's not. She's talking to her, and he asks if she's really not going to talk to him. And she says he could have gotten hurt on the bowl and asks what him getting hurt would do to the people that. And Zay cuts her off and says care about him. And Maya says she's not talking about her, and he says he thinks she is, and she says she's talking about everyone there. And it's a big first thing, because you can tell that Maya's just holding in those feelings she has for Lucas. You can tell she likes him, but she's just holding in those feelings and she doesn't want to admit it. So they all basically decide, since they're spending their first night in Texas, they want to go somewhere. And Farkle says he's been reading online about Austin, and they call it a music city. So they decide to go to this place called Chubby's. Yes, Chubby's. Chubby's is back in this episode. I don't know if it's supposed to be this. I don't know if that's supposed to be Boy Meets World homage, but when they said Chubby's, I was like, holy shit! Because if you guys know Chubby's, of course, that was the big place where Corey and his friends would go in Boy Meets World. So I don't know if they were trying to do like an homage to that, but that was really cool when I heard Chubby's. But this is a barbecue pit. And Farkle says that barbecue isn't good for you. He goes on this whole thing. Joe gets up, and Farkle says he won't do anything to him because he knows he's Newark intellectual and he doesn't want to be cliche. And I love the scene where Joe asks Lucas to pass the shotgun, and he says okay, but Farkle stops him. And Farkle says he'll go to Chubby's and eat the food and listen to his music, but don't expect a change in him. And I thought that was hilarious. So Lucas asks if Joe is coming with them. He says he appreciates the invite, but he's extremely busy. But when Lucas leaves, he's actually not. He goes right back to his chair, and you can tell he just wants to relax, and I like seeing that. So at Chubby's, Farkle has barbecue sauce all over his face, despite the fact he didn't want to eat it. He has it all over his face. He's basically taking a bath in it, and he has a new craving for it, and Lucas tells him to calm down, and Farkle says they made a big deal about him riding a bull in 4 seconds while he ate him, which I thought was really funny. And Riley says Maya should say something to Lucas because she can tell that there's some awkward tension between them, obviously. And she just doesn't want anything to change. And Riley asks Lucas to dance, and he asks if they can do that now. And she says, with this sort of dance, they can get up to dance. And Farkle asks Maya what's going on. She says she doesn't. She doesn't. She knows. She tells him to help her. And this scene between Riley and Lucas, I think, is one of the best scenes we've had from Riley. Honestly, I thought this scene was fantastic, and Rowan Blanchard's acting was really great. Really, just shows how mature Boy Meets World can be for a Disney Channel show. I mean, Girl Meets World can be for a Disney Channel show. I really love this scene because he asks if she's done this before. She says never. He asks why she's so good, and she says it's because she's finally relaxed and there's no more awkward tension between them. And he's not sure if it's good news, and she says if it is, she had no idea that she'd be in Texas and had no idea she danced with a rodeo star. The only thing she knows is that she'll always want to be able to talk to him, and maybe this is the best way to do that. And he says if that's what she wants, and she says she doesn't want to go out for a while and break up and not like each other more. And she says that if that's what happens next, and that's what people do, and she doesn't understand that, which honestly I think is a good thing to say. I mean, why do people do that? People always say, let's stay friends, but they don't. And if Riley and Lucas never date, they'll never have to go through that awkward tension. And I really thought that was a great scene. And I definitely really love seeing it. Just shows how mature Riley is becoming and how aware she is of being, what she is with Lucas. I really love seeing that. So Farkle tells Maya that she didn't want Lucas to get hurt because she cares about him, and she says she cares about all of them. He tries to admit that she has feelings for him, and she threatens to kill him. And Zay says he's not going to care about anybody for the rest of his life. He did it once, and it didn't work out. He doesn't care about anybody. And just then, Vanessa comes into the restaurant, and I was hoping that we would meet Vanessa in this episode. I mean, he's talked about her so much. I was just really hoping that we get that, and we do. She comes right into the restaurant, and I really love the scene. Right away, Maya is pretending to be his girlfriend, and he says if he introduces his girlfriend and his friend again, they're through. And she asks if he hears him, and he says he does. He goes along with it. She tells him to put his arm around her, twirl her hair, and call her Honey Nugget. And Vanessa can tell this is not true. I mean, just the way Maya's acting, it's obviously fake, and I thought that was definitely very funny. And Vanessa says Maya's a little possessive, and she says, the good one, you don't let get away with all the girls chasing him around. You have to swoop right in. And then Riley comes in, and basically Riley and Maya are pretending that they're competing for Lucas's affection, for Zay's affections. And he introduces Riley and Maya and basically he asks how Riley likes it when he calls her just a friend. And she at first says she does, but then she goes along with it, and she doesn't. And Zay asks her what he should call her, and she says to call her Cotton Candy Face. And Vanessa asks if it's possible she misjudged him. And Riley tells her it's possible, and she asks how Riley knows her name, and they get away before they can answer, which I thought was really funny. So announcer then welcomes them to Chubby's, and then we get this singing duo of Maddie and Tay, and they say they will be singing a love song, which Riley, Maya, and Lucas know is a bad idea, and I really like this song. I thought it was a good song overall. I will admit that maybe it was just a way to get a celebrity in there, but I thought it was good overall. I liked the performance. I didn't really have a problem with it. I was surprised that there was no talking in the middle of it, but I guess it's because the rest of this episode is so packed. There's so much that happens in the rest of this episode, and I love that. They get back home, and Lucas knows it's they get back home, and Lucas asks if Joe has been sitting there the whole time, and he says running around enough he'll find that a comfy chair on your front porch is your favorite destination. And I like him saying that because it's true. I mean, sometimes you just need to relax and sit down. It's a nice thing to do, just unwind a bit. And Joe then tells them about Lord Chesterfield, and Riley soon realizes that Corey told him to do this so that way they get some sort of history lesson, which I thought was very funny that we saw that. And I mean, the whole time, and he shows them a note that Corey wrote, and you can see that Riley's upset about it. They are happy that Corey cared about them, and Farkle says he doesn't want this night to end, and Riley asks what they do around there when they just want to look at each other's faces and they want the night to just last a little longer. And he takes them to a campfire and tells them to make sure to put out the campfire after, since the house may be old, but it's not ready to be burnt down yet. And Maya says she wishes she had a Pappy Joe of her own, and Joe says to consider himself hers till the time he dies. And he leaves the campfire, and Farkle tells Lucas him and Zay were lucky to grow up in Texas, and thanks them for the best weekend of his life. It's a very sweet scene. And then here's when we get the really big stuff, is in this next scene. Because Riley says to promise they'll always be friends no matter what. And she's trying to get Maya to admit that she likes Lucas. She's telling her, we're always going to be best friends. Nothing's going to be coming between that. And Vanessa then finds Zay. And she says that Joe told her he was out there, and she tells him she was sorry for not really giving him a chance because she really didn't. And now she's too late because she couldn't steal him away from his friends. And he says that she couldn't, and she says she might buy him ice cream. And he confesses that they really both weren't his girlfriends, and she says she knew that was what impressed her is that his friends stuck up for him, and she must have missed something or he must have changed. And he says he learned people teach people. And Maya tells him they're breaking up with him and says to let Vanessa buy him ice cream. And basically, Riley says she made a mistake, and Vanessa says she made a mistake with Zay and says they will leave. And Riley asks if Farkle wants to buy her ice cream because you can tell she's trying to get Maya and Lucas alone at this point. And Maya asks where she's going, and she tells Maya she needs to feel whatever it is she feels. It's them forever, and there's nothing she could ever do to change that. And she admits right there that Maya likes Lucas and that she's been hiding it this whole time, and that's why she couldn't watch him at the rodeo, and that's why she thinks she makes fun of him. And I really love that. You can tell that Maya's not mad at Riley. I thought Maya was gonna be pissed at Riley for this, but she's really not because it's just something that she doesn't want to admit. And Lucas asks her what they are, and she says she told him what they are, and he says, "What if that's not what he thinks they are?" And she says he better start thinking of them that way. And I like that because Riley's not willing to let Lucas tell her, let's get together because she doesn't want that. She just wants to be brother and sister and have that kind of bond with him, which I really love seeing. I have to say, I thought that was great. And again, Rome Blanchard was just fantastic there. And she says they will always be there for each other. He stepped back and he knows he did. And Farkle and Riley leave, and then Lucas and Maya talk. And this was just such a great scene. It was so satisfying, and I loved it. He asks what's going on. Maya says she doesn't know. He asks if she likes him, and she denies it. Lucas asks why she didn't want him to ride in the rodeo. She says she didn't want him to win and get all conceited, and he says he doesn't think that's it. And Maya mocks him, like she usually does, and he says he doesn't talk that way. And she just keeps telling him, look at the fire, but, they keep looking at each other, and she starts doing all the, impressions that she does of him, and she tells him to stop, and for everything to just stop, and he actually tries to kiss her. He tries to kiss her, and she asks why he did that, and basically she says she's been keeping a secret from Riley the whole time, and he asks what secret, and she says him and Riley are so much alike. She always thought of them as brother and sister too, and he asks why. She says him and Riley are at their best when they're just talking to each other, which is true. That really is when Riley and Lucas have been at their best, at just talking to each other and look out for each other. That's what she believed, and she kept the secret, and now it's out for each other. That's what she believed, and she kept the secret, and now it's out. She doesn't have to carry it out anymore. And she says she just doesn't want to have any more secrets from Riley. And like I said, he then tries to kiss her. She asks why he did that. And I thought it was incredible when he tried to kiss her there, showing that maybe he has feelings for her too. And he says he doesn't know. He just wanted her to stop. And he says to please not tell Riley. And she says he doesn't have to be sorry. She does like him. He's a good guy. And if he got hurt, she wouldn't know what she would have done. And she says she doesn't want to have any more secrets from Riley. And Lucas asks to talk to both Riley. And basically, then we get a scene where it seems like Lucas is talking to both Riley and Maya. He says Riley was gentle, and when he first met her, he was scared of her. She didn't think someone he didn't think someone could be scared of her, but he was, and he says Maya always scared her. Maya always scared him. She gave him nightmares from the day he first looked at her, and then he found out he'd have a chance with her. That was the scariest moment of his life, and he wants them to know that they're both an important part of his growing up. He wouldn't be who he was today without either of them, and thanks them. But then we realize he's just practicing talking to them with Tombstone and Jimmy the Sheep, which I thought was really great. We all do that sometimes where we want to say something and we talk to inanimate objects, and then Joe asks if he's ready, not just to leave Texas, because he is leaving Texas, but is he also ready to tell the girls the truth, because he wants to talk to them, obviously. And Joe tells him good luck in the world, and that's how the episode ends. And I thought this was just an incredible episode, guys. I really loved every minute of it. But there is a lot to get into because it seems like part 3, a lot is going to happen. I already started watching part 3, and it is pretty crazy so far. I mean, now Lucas and Riley are going to be much different. They have to try to be brother and sister, but it doesn't seem like Lucas wants that very much. And I like seeing that from Riley. Just the fact that Riley wants this, Lucas doesn't, is very interesting. And I really like seeing that. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that. Zay and Vanessa, I don't know if these two are going to get together, but I like seeing these two together. I definitely like that. Farkle in this episode was great, even though he didn't do too much. He was really great. I definitely really loved him in this episode. Is Maya going to tell Riley? Obviously, she wants to tell Riley everything. She doesn't want to keep secrets anymore. But how is Riley really going to react to this? I'm sure Riley's going to be fine. She's going to say, she saw it coming and everything, and that was great. But we'll have to see what happens in part 3, which I can already tell is going to be huge. Part 3 is going to be amazing. I can't wait for it. And this part was really, really great. I think part 2 is fantastic. It was exactly what I wanted part 1 to be. And it wasn't that part 1 was bad. It was just they dragged things things out with the whole bull riding thing, I wasn't as into it. And this I really love because there was no message really. The message in this episode just don't keep secrets. That really was the message here. And I really like seeing that. I also really love the character of Pappy Joe. I honestly would like to see him, bring him back. I'd like to see him again. I didn't initially like him at first, but in this episode, I really liked his character. I liked how he kind of replaced Corey. I thought that was really cool, and maybe they'll bring him back. I don't really know. I hope they do. But I thought this was an amazing episode. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. I thought this was an absolutely fantastic, very rewarding episode. Something that I think we've all been waiting for. Since it was revealed that Riley sees Lucas as a brother. It's something that I've been waiting for, definitely. And that's basically my review. Hope you enjoy it. I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for Doctor Who. I will be reviewing part 3, but like I said, I am going to schedule it to upload at 9 o'clock when the episode is over, so that way you guys don't get any spoilers, because I know part 3 is going to be huge. It already is pretty huge. I started watching it. It already is pretty huge, and I will see you guys for that, okay? And also, guys, let me know what you guys saw this episode. Which part did you like better, part 1 or part 2? I love part 2 by a mile. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was very rewarding, and especially very adult as well. I mean, I know these kids, you can just tell they're growing up, and they're already acting like adults, and I love seeing that. It was amazing. It just shows how deep Girl Meets World can be. I absolutely love it, and that's basically my review. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Doctor Who, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.